Hello, everyone. Hope you are doing well. Every week or so, I'm going to be going through this portion of Fearless Productivity, which is the channel that we've created to really help us understand why personal productivity is such an important thing for us. And what I've learned over time is that we have fear when it comes to being productive, because in a lot of cases, this means we have to have an introspection of ourselves. We have to say, this is what I need to work on. This is what I need to get more effective at. This is what I need to complete. And sometimes it's better to let somebody else tell us what we're supposed to do, where we're supposed to be, what hour we're supposed to be at, what are we supposed to do. And what I've realized, and maybe you've realized this as well, is that life is complicated. And sometimes very simple things take us longer than we think that they should. Sometimes doing things, for example, where we have to go in and spend time talking about how do I get my people, or how do I get my basic things going. For example, my password. I don't know how any of you feel, but getting your password together seems like something simple. But one of the things I'll share with you over time is that simple things like that can take more than you think it will. 2 or 3 minutes, just put your password in. But if any one of us know multi-factor authentication and all the steps we have to go through, those very small things like this eat away at our time. And as we go into this year, uh, and all of the subsequent years, I really want us to always think about what's important to us. So this is very first live that I'll do, and I'm really going to leave it up to the audience. Like, dude, should I do this every couple of days for 15 minutes or so, or should I do it in a much more separate interval? What I want to make sure that I'm doing is I'm giving you value of the time that I'm sharing with you. So, what I'll start off with here is that what are you doing here as you go through this next period of time that's lined up with your values, not your goals? Those are two separate things sometimes because one informs the other. What is your value? So, for example, I'll give you my personal examples: creativity, spirituality, health, family, and learning are really the key pieces of values that I have in my life. And if I do things that are outside of that, why am I doing them? Not that I shouldn't, but are they things that help to inform that? For example, I work a day job, and a lot of times that helps me because I have to do things for my family. And that's why I say this makes sense for me. And I learn things at the same time. So they stack on each other. So that's why that value is important to me. So going into the future, please think about what is your values. And I use various tools where I keep them front and center. Some people do things like vision boards, where they'll put the vision board and this is what I want. I don't do that because sometimes those things may be a material thing that might be exciting to me, but I don't need anything. I want material things, but I don't need any of them. And but for me, what is my values front and center? What are the things that are important to me? And I use a tool called Notion that helps me to do that, where I have it in what's called a synced block. And if you're interested in that in one of our sessions going forward, I can actually show you how to do a synced block. So every time I create a page, this synced block with my values shows up as something that's important to me. So thinking about that, what I do is with those values, those one, two, three, four, five values that I have, what am I doing this year? So, for example, last year, creativity was one of my key ones. And I said, one of my things is now that I know the value is solid, then I make a goal. And the goal was to finish writing a play, which I did. And I accomplished it. So, did I get all of the goals that I had for the past year or even 2 years completed? No. But as time goes on, I find out new things. And if I get a new thing or decide that I want to do something, is that lined up with the set goal? So, think about that. Where do you have your values? Do you have them in front of you? Is it something you have whimsically inside of your head somewhere? Where do you have it? And if it's just something that you have in your head, finding a good place. It could be a sticky note that you have on front of your computer or wherever you see things. It could be inside of a physical notebook that you look at every single day. It could be the inside footer of that. Wherever it is, it needs to be somewhere. And it needs to be somewhere that you can actually see it and actually use it and look at it every single day. So that's key thing number one. And the second one, this is something that I don't hear that's talked about a lot when it comes to personal productivity, is how much clutter do we have in our lives? This has become acutely important to me because I realized that I have more clutter than I think I do. At first, clutter was this thing like, am I just having a whole bunch of clothes or mess or documents sitting around in front of me? And I've expanded that because I realized that I was thinking that I was becoming less cluttered, but that wasn't true. I was becoming actually, and there was clutter in all kinds of facets of life. And this is the one that stood out to me the most. And this is one I want everyone who's listening to my voice to take in, is that digital clutter can sometimes be way more than physical clutter. I read a book last year that really helped to bring this home for me. It's called The Power Method by Tiago Forte. And it's really about a very simple framework in regards to how do you deal with all the stuff that you have in life. And at first, I was a bit resistant to it because I had my own structure of stuff that I wanted to do. But as I became more aware of it, I realized that having things in projects, areas, resources, and archives were pretty important for things. For example, like the files I have on my computer. I do this kind of thing. I do a live and I edit videos and I record all the things that I do. I'm just becoming a whole lot of stuff all over the place. So where do I have them? Do I have them in front of me? Do I have them somewhere else? Do I have them in where do I have all of that stuff? And I said I needed to organize that as much as I needed to organize my closet. And so thinking about where is your digital life? For example, some of the things that gives me agita is when I'll see someone's laptop, your working mistake, and they'll have 1,000 things on their desktop. Not saying that that is unorganized. I'm not saying that at all. All I know is for me, it gives me agita because I wouldn't know where to begin with all of those items. And me also knowing a little bit about how things like that can actually slow down my computer. That would that would drive me nuts. And so I have to have a filing system for the things I have in my day life, for the things I have in my creative life, or for and I'm a husband and a father, and I have to have things organized for my family life. So those values is one, two, three, four, five values: health, family, creativity, spirituality, and learning. They have their own structure within it. So what's the areas that's up there? What's the resources I need for that? And are there things that need to be archived? And that's the hardest one for me because I'm a little bit of a digital librarian where I like to keep a lot of things in case I need it to learn because I've learned something and I may want to see it again. So where did I put it? If I put it in the right place again, then maybe it's good. Maybe I can have it somewhere again. So I had to realize I had to archive some things. So thinking about all of that digital stuff, values first, archiving all of your things first, and then after that, and this is Winston's viewpoint on fearless productivity. Then and only then can I really start to focus in on what my goals are. And I've learned. I read a book years ago, and you guys get me referencing a lot of books because there's a lot of people who've influenced my life. The Vision Driven Leader by Michael Hyatt, and he talks about there, and he references inside of there something called an operating plan. And a lot of times you hear an operating plan from someone, and it'll just seem like a very basic thing. And in this case, it was like, how do I make a plan for my goals for not now, not for the next 6 months, not even for the next 12 months, but what is those goals for the next 3 years? What I learned there is that reference to something that Stephen Covey said decades ago in regards to beginning with the end in mind. So, what's that goal 3 years from now? So, am I making goals and tasks and stuff that I need to do? And I want a new car, I want this, that, and the other, and I just do it for this year. It may work out for you, it may work out for many of you. But for me, I make a better decision when I make a decision about what the decisions I do now can have an effect on in 3 years. I don't have all the answers 3 years from now, but at least me thinking about it and at least me memorializing down what I would like to see done in 3 years from now makes me make better decisions. So, for example, I know I have to complete certain things in order to get to that goal for 3 years from now, when I know I'm going to be worth a certain amount of money. So I know I need to do certain things now in order to have that net worth in 3 years. That's how you think about it. So everyone here, so in this very first live session, really thinking about your values, decluttering things away from your brain as much as possible. You will never be able to the world has given us this ultimate task where it's tough to declutter everything. And then from there, really starting to think about what is that goal for the next period of time. What are those goals associated with that? And goals, I don't mean this in this really weird way that goals have become like this kind of rah rah kind of thing. I mean goals that will really transform your life in a way where it'll have an impact not just on you, but everyone that's inside of your life. One of the things I've learned so much about business in my life is that those businesses who focus on their customers thrive, and those businesses who focus on how dope they are may or may not thrive. I get this example all the time. I take my car to the dealership, and because the dealership isn't in love with my type of car, I get a bad experience because they don't like this kind of car, and they only have one tech who works on this kind of car. And I get an experience almost like a weird kind of, why did you buy this? As opposed to like, let me just help you out. This is just the dealers that I'm dealing with this particular car that I have, which I'm making some tough decisions on. Businesses and people who think about who they do things for, you have a way better chance of getting your goals accomplished and getting your values and getting your things done if you know who you do it for. The world has kind of suckered us a little bit to tell us that, well, you do things in this life for me first and only me first. And we need to do certain things. So, for example, I need to work out every day because that helps me out because I can't be talking to you if my health deteriorates. But they sucker us to think that it's all about ourselves. And that's not how we human beings, and me personally as a Jesus follower, that's not how I think about things. Like, I get so much better results when I'm doing my plays or my stories or events or anything in life where I do it focus on who am I doing it for. The moment I introduce why is it important to Winston is the moment that it's less effective. The moment where it's just, well, it's good, it's great, but really, really focusing on who we do it for. Are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it for someone you love? Someone you want to love? Someone you care for? Someone you wish to care for? Someone that has not with us anymore. Who do you do it for? That's how you think about it. So I really thank you all for this very first live session with Fearless Productivity. I hope to do this many, many more times here over the next period of time. And I'd like for your feedback. What did you learn? Is there something you want me to cover specifically? Is there something that you want to, are you struggling with a certain area of how do I organize or how do I plan out what I need to get accomplished? Please let me know because I want to make sure that we tailor these sessions to what you really want to do. Uh, and from there, I can really help you, guide you. And feel free to reach out to me directly if you want to email me at info at winstonableson.com. Again, that is info at winstonableson.com. Please feel free to send me that or send me, whichever platform you're looking at this on, feel free to send me a direct comment. And please subscribe and follow so that way I know how many people, and I'd rather have a few group of people that I can really, really help than have 55 million people that I don't know how to connect tomorrow. At one point, I'll have 55 million, but at this point here, I really want you to help me help you. And at the same time, every comment, every bit of feedback you give helps me as well. I hope you really take care of yourself. Take care of those you love. Take care of those you care for. And I look forward to talking to you again here on the Fearless Productivity channel in Australia. Thank you so much, everyone.